Welcome back to CSPN. Excited to chop it up with you guys again.
Always.
We're going to cover some really good stuff. We're going to talk about, sports commentators having opinions about things that are not about sports.
Good or bad? Wise, unwise.
Yeah. We're also going to talk about NCAA transfer portal. Is it a free market for real? Are we even at it?
Free enough or too free?
Should Lamar still be at UNM right now playing football? Lastly, we're going to have a rapid round. We're going to fire off 10 questions for Pastor Zach, and he's going to give us no explanation. We'll see how that goes. Stay tuned. So I was actually listening to a podcast the other day. It's actually a basketball podcast, one of my favorites. And they have never done this before. At least I'm not claiming I listen to all their episodes, but they've never done this before. But recently they decided to make a comment about the lady that was killed by the ICE agent.
Okay.
And the way they presented it was like, this was a tragedy. Which humans dying is for sure a tragedy.
Mm-hmm.
Like I get that. But the way they presented it is like this innocent woman was killed in a manner that like should have.
She was murdered.
Yeah, she was murdered. Yeah, exactly. Like the ICE agent had no right killing her, which was how it was presented. But that was about it. It was just like, man, we're just mourning the loss of this mother of, I think, two or three kids. This mother, 2 or 3 kids that lost her life to an ICE agent. Sad to see things like that happen. It wasn't neutral, but it seemed more like we need to feel bad for this mom, and have like everything about the ICE agent was in the wrong. But it made me think, it's like, okay, if this is a sports, if we're claiming to just be about basketball, this is literally just a basketball podcast. Like, is that the space they should be in? Like, is that something we should expect? What are your thoughts on like sports commentators jumping into the realm of ethics, politics, XYZ?
It's going to sound probably pretty bad to lead off with, but does she actually have kids? Because I think she's a lesbian.
Yeah, no,
she
she was a lesbian, and she did have kids. One of them believed like was not in her custody, like she lost custody of one.
Okay,
yeah, I don't know all the details as to why that's the case. But.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I questioned whether even asking it, but even in my asking, trying to understand her and her situation a little bit before I'm just going to comment. The question is more broad.
Yeah, exactly.
Should sports analysts talk about politics, modern events that have nothing to do with sports? But I think the answer is a couple different ways you can go, but particularly twofold, that no matter what you're going to do, you need to be principled about it and thoughtful about it. It can't just be a overflow of emotions that you're just upset about something and therefore you're just going to rant about it because you have a microphone in front of you. You have to maintain principled and not just quote your principles, right? That's something we talk about a lot on this podcast that people love to, that's not the true me, or that's your truth or my. It's like no, there's principles that are transcendent that apply to all situations and all people. And that is the world we live in. God is the same yesterday, today, and forever. And when it comes to, say, eyewitness testimony of who is right or who's wrong, right? Was she in the right or was she in the wrong? Like, there's a lot of diligence that needs to be put into figuring that out.
And I'll let you continue, but that's a good point you make, because in the moment, because I knew nothing about the situation. It was brand new, and more facts are coming out now. But in the moment, I was like, I was sympathizing with what they were presenting, and then I learned more later. And it's less about that particular case, but more so about like just this need for consistent discernment, because at any moment in time, like, we're going to be peppered or indoctrinated in a way that like, this is the truth, this is what happened, this is what you ought to believe, and not inspect on your own. So I don't know, it just caused me to be a little more on my guard.
Yeah, there's I think sports analysts have a much bigger voice in the life of the average American, and particularly youthful American, than they should. Where's dad to help them talk through this? Where's mom to help them talk through this? Where's their pastor to help them talk through this? Where are their, Lord willing, good teachers to help, if something like that happened in San Diego? I know at our school, right, we would probably the next day, at least in the older classes, talk about whatever just happened that was proximal to us and important for us to discuss, especially if we thought it was going to lead to like public visible protesting now, and to help our own students think through that.
Because it's almost like, because we have all these other influential voices, it's important that we get ahead of it, especially with the younger generation.
Yeah, and I think because the younger generation often doesn't have the voices they're supposed to have. Dad's not helping them think through this. Mom's not helping them think through this. There's no pastor in the picture. And thereby their educators are, usually don't have a great framework of law and innocence till proven guilty, as well as
just as much stirred by their emotions as
and
all the other voices out there.
The modern public education in America is much more anarchist, and they think America is a democracy, which it's not. It's a democratic republic. So it's a republic, and we appoint people to represent us for things. And there are sometimes populist votes, but the large majority of decisions, even law writing in America, does not come through popular votes. And so point is, there is a huge breakdown of discipleship, and then these sports analysts, I think, perceive a responsibility to speak to something, because they know through their social media pages, through when they walk around the streets, when they show up at a game, people come up to them and they say how much they look up to them, how much they want to hear from them, right? There are people probably commenting on their social media or on their X account or whatever, hey, what do you think of the ICE situation? And it's like, have you asked your father that? Have you asked your mother that?
It's also hilarious too, because asking, like, respecting the whole worldview of someone that is really good about talking about someone's shooting form. Of a basketball going into a hoop, or defensive formations, or how many rebounds and blocks Victor Wembanyama got last night. Because they can recall that information super quickly. Like, oh, that guy must have a worldview worth following. Yeah,
and that's a revelation of the ignorance of the day we live in. That's not even a question. They wouldn't even think in terms of, they're not even aware of the logical fallacies represented there. Or that logical fallacies exist, or even what the term logical and fallacies mean. Honestly,
no,
I'm not even trying to make fun of anybody. Like, if I said that sentence, they would probably, if they're honest,
what is logic?
They would probably think, like, what's a logical fallacy? And I was publicly educated, and from my education, I would ask the same questions.
Oh, for sure.
So I wasn't trained. I had to learn that later as an adult, through humbling myself to realize my education was not good, and logic is a basic requirement of any education. We're using logic all the time. We're just using it very poorly or well. And so the question doesn't even come up of who would be a helpful counselor or advisor or someone help me understand, especially the moral implications of who's right or who's wrong in this situation. And thereby they just ask the popular person, back to that democratic ideal of just who's influential. And that's the huge downfall of a democracy, is that it just does lend itself to mob justice. Whoever can sway the population is what they actually think is right.
Well, you know what? That's honestly that also delves into like what popular Christianity looks like today. It's more about who has the biggest sway. Like, that's who we want as our pastor.
Yeah,
is the one that is the most likable, the most personable, that is the most fun to be around. Like, that's the guy that we want preaching from our pulpits, but not about his character. Where is his theology at? Where is his courage at? Like, we're missing the things that matter most.
Yeah.
And very much is so. And I mean, we talk about this all the time. Like, much of what we do in our culture stems from what we do in our families or what we do in our churches.
Yeah. And that's, again, another one of those questions that I don't even think the average person would think to ask, even about their pastor, which is a shame because the Bible lays out very plainly the job description of a pastor, the qualifications of a pastor. But to fail to even ask that of, hey, are you a slave to too much wine? Are you greedy for unjust gain? Are you the husband to but one wife? Right. And asking the applicatory questions necessary to really get to the bottom of their character. And like, every Christian should, if they're trained well, should mandate that those are questions that have been asked, right? And if they trust certain people to have asked them in an interview, a job interview or something, and they're trusting already qualified pastors at their church, and like, well, these pastors are giving their yes and amen to this pastor, then I, as a member, don't feel the need to go ask them personally. I'm taking their testimony and I trust them. And that's good, right? We should have that kind of trust, but you have to trust that somebody asks these questions. To be a police officer, they're going to drill in. I remember when I applied to police, I mean, they get into every single potential crime you've ever done. And a lot of crimes are also sins. Not all crimes are sins, or vice versa, but a lot of them are. And so you're, in many ways, you're confessing sins of old. And I thought, man, a pastoral application, I'd be shocked there's a single pastoral application in America that is as robust at diving into your past sins as just a normal police application.
Interesting.
And right, the police don't care as much about the sins. They care about certain crimes. And even then, their demeanor towards it is, and they want to ensure that you're no longer committing crimes, which they should, right? I'm saying that's a good thing. But their standard is technically lower than God's standard for a pastor.
Yeah.
Is my point. Yeah. And yet they're asking way more questions, and they hold that line pretty firmly.
So it's like, if we don't even hold our pastors to this degree, and we give them voice and influence over something so important as the Church of Jesus Christ.
Yep.
And then it trickles down to like other people that we allow to have influence, actors, professional players, commentators, all kinds of people.
Yeah, it's like what's the difference between
no one gets character
qualified. My pastor and this basketball podcast guy? Like, honestly, what's the difference if I don't know which one actually has more character? And for all I know, that pastor in the next few years, something could come up to where they didn't even hold up to their own standards. So I should just listen to the basketball podcast guy.
That's open with saying that he goes to strip clubs and all this stuff. And
at
least he's honest with where he's at.
Totally. So it's a huge shame, and it's a pretty systematic failing from the family and the church, and then the civilization and the magistrate in its role in there, trying to just play God and thereby put forward systems like public education, which just really completely demolishes the family unit, not just in its outward evangelism of demolishing the family unit, but in its practice of just strongly pushing 2-income households. We'll take your kids early. You can stay at the program late. And then they get into our sports, which are all evening.
Yep.
And then the games on the weekends, and boom, voila. A kid goes from, by the time they're 18, they've spent way more time outside the influence of their parents than they did. I mean, the public school influenced them way more than their parents did. Yeah. And that's all by design.
And they're being taught to trust every other voice more than their own parents' voice.
Yeah. It particularly because sports become this sacrament, I would say, of the public education, right? Like the church has baptism and the Lord's Supper and the Eucharist, speaking of the same thing. And, then certain essential elements of worship and the preaching of the word. School at this point is pretty synonymous with sports. And even having a private classical Christian school, right? Sports are something that come up for parents, especially at a certain age. And it just shows how ingrained it is for that to be this priority. But only the public schools, when you can only afford huge, football fields and tracks and a nice gymnasium and a baseball field. You can only afford that when you're taking everyone's property taxes by force. Like you can't, like, unless you're just getting huge donations, which even then, like every university is asking for donations and they're taking tax money. So it's like, no, they need both. Like so it's like, yeah, we have a black top out there and we just throw some football and, we train sport as a physical discipline of the body. We lift, we do different things to discipline our bodies and get out the virtue of sports. And Lord willing, right, we can one day afford, we pray to this end and work to this end, that we can afford some more sports complexes. It's not the having it that's the problem. It's just the how do we get it. But back to the systematic, they become this essential part of what the public school offers, and so many youth take it up to where their coach becomes more influential than their dad,
instead of being a supplement.
Yeah. And then the basketball podcaster, right, is not that much of a leap especially when all they do is comment on things. You put them in that box of, I want their commentary on this. I love hearing their commentary on basketball. I want to hear their commentary on this, right?
Which is why right now Stephen A. Smith is actually doing well with his own Stephen A. Smith show, where
talking about other things.
Yeah, talking about other things. People want to hear what he has to say.
Yep.
On other things.
Yep.
I wanted to talk to you about this NCAA transfer portal. It's something that's also, because we really do speak to the younger generation as they're figuring out like how to, when they're trying to figure out what commitment looks like, regardless if they're actually ever going to play in NCAA, but like how they should rightly observe what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
So right now the NCAA portal is just basically a free for all. Mm-hmm. Every single year you can go to a different school, get a new contract, get paid more at different places. I feel like there's a lot of implications to look at. Like there's people that say it's ruining competition, but then you also have schools like my school, New Mexico, who's like, since this NIL deal and like the portals opened up, we have had the most competitive team ever.
Uh-huh.
And then, you have
we just had University of Miami and
Miami,
Indiana
in the
national championship.
So like that, I don't know if that parity argument is still there. But it does seem like we are rejecting long-term commitment as a culture with this. And it's like, what's the point of contracts if we can just leave whenever we want? Are some of the questions that are being brought up.
Yeah.
So I have thoughts about that, but I was curious to know, as you see this kind of like free for all of like, go wherever you want, whenever you want, for whatever reason. Is this healthy? Are we?
Yeah, I think now I'm confessedly pretty ignorant to the ins and outs of the NIL and the NCAA and what's still the regulations, how they play out. So at this point, it seems as though there's a limitation of, say, like 1-year contracts. Like you can't do a 4-year commitment.
Before, I don't know exactly what all these contracts look like, but before, what it used to be is if you moved from one school to another, you had to sit out for a year. If you had a red shirt, which is basically, so you go into college. When I was there, you go into college, you have 4 years to play. You also have 1 extra year of what you call a red shirt. And a red shirt is just, I'm sitting out for this year, but it doesn't count towards my 4 years of playing. Then you also have a medical shirt, which is like, I had a severe injury early on. And so that allows me to sit out for the year and not count towards my eligibility. Okay. So you could like really be at 6 years. There's a gray shirt.
Then you got COVID.
Yeah, and exactly. Then they had a COVID year.
So everyone has a COVID year.
Yes, and then you have
even if you like just came into college, you have a COVID year,
right? And then you have the Mormon missionaries who like go off somewhere for 3 years.
Okay, so BYU gets a
BYU. They're starting college at 21, 22. They're starting college at like 22 or 23 because they go on their missions. So anyways, that's what the case is. It used to be you had to sit out regardless if you had a red shirt or not. So if I played 2 years, I've already redshirted. So in my situation, I redshirted. I played 2 years. I had 2 years left, but my resume was good. I had 24 starts. I had plenty of, so like transferring, like the desire was there. But if I went somewhere, I lose a year and I only get 1 year to play. Now it's like, it doesn't matter. I can jump somewhere else and I got 2 years to play somewhere else.
And get paid more.
And get paid more. And get paid more. So that's essentially the new layout.
Yeah.
I don't know, like when they sign with a new college, if they're like,
you probably have like a few more back years of eligibility somehow.
Probably somewhere. Yeah. There's probably a loophole.
Yeah. Can we get you trained up?
Dude, I want to. Oh gosh, I do not want to put on 30 more pounds. Oh no, I'm not trying to go in that direction. Yeah. Unless I'm ready to play linebacker, which I don't want to do that either. Yeah. But I often think about that. I'm like, it would have been crazy.
Yeah.
It would have been crazy.
Yeah.
But
I think the free market is good. I just wonder how much overregulation there actually still is. Like it's not that free. So they kind of want their cake and eat it too, where they've conceded that we are making, even with the NIL, they're making probably more money off the players now than they were, but at least similar amounts of money. So that's a revelation of just how much money they were making off these players, giving them a college education. And yet my guess is the market's just not that, it's not free enough, because if there are regulations against, say, multi-year commitments, then because the NCAA, that's just the easiest way, the cleanest way for them to do their eligibility rules or something. Then it's like, yeah, you can't lock someone in for 4 years. It has to be annual. And then that always, if that's when the contract ends, right? Anyone with a contract for 1 year is always going to just, in wisdom, think through at the end of the contract, like, do I want to sign another contract with the same people, or do I want to look at my other options of who else might offer me a better contract? So
that actually might be worth doing some extra digging into, is like, are they allowed to?
Yeah. I mean, I've never heard of a player signing a 4-year agreement with Georgia
because even our scholarships when I was playing were year by year, which I didn't know that. They're like, oh, you got a full ride, but like they really could. It was very rare for someone to take your scholarship after a year, but they had that power.
Yeah.
They had that power.
Yes, that'd be my guess, because I've never heard of any college athlete since the NIL they're getting paid lock into anything more than an annual agreement. That's true. So that is still the system then that they're bringing forth, because they want that control, and they want to just have that control over the athletes, really, I think is what it boils down to, because otherwise the athletes just have their right to sign up for as many years as they want. I mean, within the NCAA's rules of like, you can have a cap of eligibility years, but even
10-year contract I'm playing for LSU until
I mean, and that's part of the problem, is that
I'm on my 3rd degree at LSU, dude.
Yeah, it really is a totally competitive market to the pro sports.
It is.
So they work together in many regards, but they're also a competition.
That is kind of a paradigm shift when you really think about it. It's like, other than a subjective age, which is not so subjective for BYU.
Yeah, and really, like, what's another 5 years? Like, you're a peak athlete of, like, you're an incredibly strong 22-year-old or you're 28-year-old.
I for sure would have kept playing I would have kept playing.
Yeah, and if they're making money off you and you're making money and everyone's happy, so who cares?
I've never heard anyone talk about that.
Yeah,
that's a very new. I mean, you hear about guys that go to college for the first time late, have never played a sport, and go in. I think I've even heard of people that have played one sport, went pro, went back to college in a different sport.
Yeah, I know. Oh, man, what basketball team? A basketball team is under flack a little bit because they had a player. He went pro. He signed a two-way G League contract, but he never ended up playing in the pros. He only played in the G League for the NBA. And then he
went back to college.
He just went back to the same college. And I think like mid-season. It wasn't even... So like he wasn't on the team at the beginning of the year, and now he's on the team. Probably because the team was like, hey, we can pay you more money than you're making in the G League right now. You reboost your potential of getting an NBA contract because, you know, if we make it to the big dance and you perform well, like you might get looked at again, whereas the G League kind of sounds like a place that players go and die, you know?
So I was like, man, there's that one G League story per year, but
it's like LeBron's son.
Yeah.
So it has its own narrative. So yeah, it's interesting. I think when it's a free market and you have privatized companies, then you can choose to, if the NCAA say, the problem is the magistrate's so involved in it that it's not a private thing. But, you know, if the NCAA says, hey, we don't want to compete with the NFL, the NBA, any pro sports, but we're happy to be a gateway to them, and we're happy to be a league that much more feeds into one another as opposed to takes from one another, which is how free markets are supposed to work. They're not, you know, the pie in a free market gets bigger. It's not that everyone takes the pie and then all the pieces of pie are gone. It's like, no, you just, through innovation and skill set and growing, you actually, more people get blessed in a free market. So yeah, if the NCAA wanted to say, hey, no, our cutoff is 28 years of age, no matter what, it's an age thing. We just cut off, or we cut off at 25. We don't care about eligibility. But then that's gonna lead into high school, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, what if we find pro caliber athlete at 15? Like, why don't we do they have to go to high school?
Yeah.
So, and I think this is where nations, a lot of non-Western nations, have been comfortable with sending Olympians
basically doing
that are 13 or 15, right? Who are probably competing in the local pro versions of whatever that sport is. Yeah. And again, it's just like letting the free market play itself out. I mean, these are like, I don't know the narratives. I'm again speaking a bit out of ignorance, but you know, there's been pro football or soccer players that were, you know, came in at 14, 15. It's like, would they say they regretted it? Like, would they say, a big mistake, I wish I stayed in public school till I was 18, and then, you know, and then I was only given a 4-year college.
I have not heard Messi, Ronaldo, Mbappe, any.
Did they start that young?
Oh, that's how they all start.
Yeah, so it's
they literally go to, if they have any, they go to academies that are dedicated to them getting really good at soccer.
Yep.
I do think they receive some other kind of education, but like their number one priority is to become amazing at soccer.
Yeah, and I think it's a free market. Let them do that. It's just a modern trash public school American Department of Education mentality that you got to be under our babysitting watch till you're 18, and no one's even a man. You can't even call yourself a man or woman until you're 18. And now, because we're the government, no one can even call themselves a man or woman anyway. You know, it's like, no. Well, if you can beat out the 20-year-old professional athletes or the 30-year-old professional athletes at 15, then go pro, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, that's a decision that I think still a father should be involved in. Did you see oh man, what's his King? Is it King Arthur? It's the story of the Williams sisters' father.
Oh yeah,
King Richard.
King Richard.
Did you watch that?
Yeah, I did. I watched it.
Yeah, so I mean, it's really a. Have we talked about it on this podcast?
I don't think we have.
So
we should,
because it's really a parenting movie.
It is very much a parenting movie.
And from what I discerned, the sisters were all involved in it. Like it's pretty accurate to the story.
Will Smith should have taken advice, and like should shepherd his own family the way King Richard did.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah, no, it's an amazing movie.
Yeah, no.
We should dedicate more time to talking about it.
I think
or some other sports movies as well. But I think that's a great example of recognizing he did it. He was really trying to discern. He's like, my daughters can go pro.
Mm-hmm.
They would compete and they would win. But he was trying to, as a father, recognize the dangers of going pro at 13 or 14 or 15, right? And then in the movie, he learns of like the leading young pro woman who was like 20 at this point, but went pro when she was 15, getting busted for cocaine, and her life was a mess. And, and that was kind of a pivotal, he kind of has a visceral reaction to that whole thing. And he goes and he kind of pulls him out of everything. And the guy was like, what are you doing? Yeah. But that's because he's like, I'm their father. Like they're gonna go pro. We all know that. They're gonna be amazing tennis players. They're going to make great money. I don't need to rush this. So again, that's a fatherly, familial decision. But it's still the free market. Like they should have opportunity to go pro if they're going to go pro. And in a lot of sports, it's like that. Mm-hmm. But once the NCAA is involved and the government's overseeing it all, you got to play by this like non-free market system. But then the free market, the root question was the NIL. It's like that's forcing the free market's always going to win out.
Yeah.
Eventually, they're just going to be like, no, like we're making you guys unfathomable amounts of money. Like we should be getting paid something.
Yeah.
And it's actually better for everyone.
It's only a matter of time in God's economy. In God's economy, Lamar Bratton is still playing for the Lobos.
Hey, it'd have to be San Diego State because you're not allowed to go back to New Mexico. But.
All right. I appreciate all your thoughts. This is our last segment of the day.
Yeah.
Rapid round. We did a little bit of this last time, but I've got 10 questions for you. And all I want is a yes or no, 0 explanations, or it's either option A or option B. Do you take on the challenge?
Yes, sir.
All right. He said he's ready. All right. 10 questions. Here we go. Would you rather spend all day with Ja Morant or all day with Draymond Green?
Draymond Green.
Brown or blue?
Brown.
Shohei Ohtani or Babe Ruth?
For what? Babe Ruth.
Would you rather wear Dodgers gear at Padres games all year or move your family to Israel next week?
Oh my. They live in the true Israel each week.
Move your family to the geographical Israel next week.
Definitely wear Dodgers gear.
Jesus is the true Israel, yes or no?
Yes.
Is Trump a racist? Yes or no?
No.
NFL/NBA owners are modern day slave owners. Yes or no?
No.
Running is for cowards. Yes or no?
No.
Should steroids be allowed in pro sports? Yes or no?
Yes.
Bigger mistake, trading Luka Doncic or being a Padres fan?
Oh my. Definitely trading Luka Doncic. To your benefit.
That is an episode, you guys. Appreciate you guys.